Okay.
Hey everyone, thanks joining us for the first edition of Startup Poker right now. We have actually never done this before, so I will try and explain a little bit about maybe a little bit about poker for those who don't know what poker is, and how we're trying to apply that entire concept to this conversation that we're having with Vikas. Thanks, Vikas, for joining us on this conversation. It's going to be super fun as we move along, hopefully, right, for all of us. So, for those who don't know too much about poker, you kind of get two cards dealt to you, and you try to make the best possible uh, of those two cards, right? So you could get a really great hand like aces, and you could win, or you get like a really bad hand, but you somehow bluff your way through it. But the broad thing really is that we're going to deal a startup this time. It's not cards really, right? We're not actually playing a game of poker, and I'm not trying to win money off Vikas, right? But what
I
we're
hope
going
so.
to do is we're going to deal a startup idea, and these are all startup ideas that have been hosted on unsolved.xyz. These are actual startups. The founders are watching. Right? No pressure, Vikas. Please be as candid as you can about everything that you hear here. But these are actual startups, and what we are trying to do is, we're trying to get into the mind of, pretty much Vikas, right? I mean, we're just trying to figure out how do you think about ideas, about opportunities, about problem statements, and that's pretty much it, right? There's a problem, there's a solution, and whether it's an opportunity or not, right? I mean, at the core of it. And we are trying to just figure out, okay, so this is something that's being built. What do you think? I mean, so we'll deal a startup, right? Because the first thing that we are kind of hoping for you to do is evaluate your hand, right? And we're hoping that you will do this in a, you know, uh, just being open about it and voicing your thoughts, evaluating your hand right from, okay, so this is the idea. If you have any questions about it, you can ask me. I'm reasonably familiar with most of these startup ideas. I can answer at least the basics, right? And then, we are trying to put you as the CEO of that startup or the founder of that startup. And now, if you had to say, hey, how am I going to blow this up, or what I think is the real opportunity around it, that's what we are trying to kind of just see how you think of these ideas. And for the record, none of these ideas have been shared with Vikas. This is completely impromptu. He has no clue what's going to come at him. You know, so we'll try and do this one at a time. Any questions, Vikas, or should I just jump right into it? Tell me what you think
So
right now.
let me take a breath first. It feels like I'm doing an exam. So it would be fun. I'm really excited and looking forward to this experiment. And I really would love to see how this turns out to be, because this is something I personally also like ideation. I personally like to figure out what can be done, what cannot be done. As an entrepreneur, you always have these well, ideas are your time pass. Technically saying, you get bored, you start thinking of an idea. So I think this is going to be interesting. I would try to, although I will not claim that I'm expert at a lot of things, I would just try to approach everything from first principles. Um, will mix and marry some of my experiences to that, some of my observations. So majority of the
Yeah.
time you would see me talking about observations, talking about experiences, and very depending on the domain, very few times you might actually also see me talking about my my data in that domain. Right? So besides that, I will try to do the justice to this format. I am really looking forward to this, and let's see how it goes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'm going to take the first card here, right? So we actually have a card, but actually it doesn't have a startup on it. It's just for dramatic effect, right? You know, we got a card. But nonetheless, so let me start with the first startup. So the first startup is called Blend. It's by a founder called Anamika, who's kind of posted it on Unsolved. The way I would like to explain Blend to you is think WhatsApp, but with inbuilt games in it so that you can play while chatting with friends, right? And that's pretty much all that you have to go with, unfortunately. Right. So now over to you, just to either voice thoughts or,
I,
uh, you know,
I used a blank book to try to deconstruct this. So the first thing you mentioned was WhatsApp plus games. If I have to very simplify
yeah,
it, so I have to first and foremost when I'm going to think and I would first and foremost want to define: do I think of this more like a game? Is Am I going to compete with a game, or am I going to go
yeah.
into the communication perspective? So the way you have to think about is um, I might be replacing something in someone's life. It's not that probably they're not doing it at all. It might be that they are doing it, but maybe they are not doing it the way this can happen right now. The way you are imagining it hoga. So I hope people are
Let
okay
me
with.
try and add a little bit to that. Uh, to that, I think some of the thoughts are tabletop games, board games, or tabletop games. How do you take that and uh, push it? Sorry, I think I think I pressed the wrong button somewhere there.
Nitya,
Um,
so you can
yeah,
maybe just
yeah.
remove.
Sorry, Nitya. Yeah, got
Yeah.
him.
Uh,
So yeah, I think the thought really is how do you take the casual board games that you normally have been used to playing? How do you go put that in a chat interface and play, right? Yeah.
so basically, the purpose that you're going after, is it the purpose of fun and time pass, or is it the purpose of communication? That is the two domains you are combining together, right? So if you're very
What
clearly
would
saying,
you
okay,
choose?
yeah. So if I'm
What
going
would
to
you choose?
combine this, going against WhatsApp would be a really hard task because
Sure.
there is a massive natural network effect with WhatsApp, and I would find it very hard to probably replace that. But what I could actually do is I could think about this more or less like I am thinking about game, and I would say I would pitch it as like a combination of game with fun chat. So probably that is what I would like to think of it as. And then I would want to see. So first thing I will try to go and do some research, saying, okay, what is it that people are right now playing, and what is it that they're missing when they are playing. So is it a conversation? Is it a Hoover? So there is this tool called Loom, if you have seen.
Yeah.
Loom is a very interesting and very good tool. It's like my head hovering over and while I'm trying to tell things about, and there are a couple of new things that have come up like around which are using that as a construct. So when I'm going to think about this, I will say, okay, first and foremost, let me find something differentiating, or at least one community of probably gamers of a particular type who are missing this connection. Right? So I will try to go and validate with them, saying, okay, look, do you really want to also see someone or want to talk to someone? Would you want to actually participate in something like this? So then, if the thing is yes, then I go ahead and build probably a clickable prototype. The first thing I would try to do is maybe build a clickable prototype. This clickable prototype could also be probably something like a paper. Right? The initial thing is if you go here, try to refine my thought twice or thrice before I go ahead and build anything. Uh, and someone who has no idea of technology, I would also go and try to once I understand. So I've never done gaming. So first and foremost, when I start to say, okay, this looks something I can do, I will go ahead and then go to people who are doing some gaming related startups and try to understand what is it that it takes to build a game. So
So
because I'm going to
let me try and summarize a few things that you said. Right, one is you're trying to figure out, am I going after chat or am I going after games? If I'm going after games, what is it that's missing in a certain game that I mean, like, because the fundamental assumption here is that chat is missing in the game, right? I mean, somewhere there they've missed. I mean, they've added games and chat, and I think some of the thoughts around it is that every game requires you to invite users or friends to that game. Like, let's say I pick up a Ludo game, I have to invite friends to it. If I pick up Scrabble, I have to invite friends to it. Now, can I put the friends together in one chat group so that they're always together, but we can game different games together, right? So I think that's the missing link that's somewhere there And Blend is live. It's not just idea stage right now, but it's live. But nonetheless, I would like you to just open and
Another thing, another approach, and I'm being very blue sky, right? So another approach is, can I build a layer over the game? So for example, a DU recorder works as a layer on top of your screen, right? So if there could be a layer on top of the existing games, I am able to achieve the outcome with them, and people are using. I'm also writing. There are two critical things that need to happen for a startup to function. One is the growth, right? Cracking growth from zero is very hard. But if you can ride something, that is really, really going to take you to the class. Because what happens is chicken and egg. You will build a product unless people come and use it. You can't really build it, and you can't really break this. But when you actually go ahead and ride on an existing product, say, look, I can make your Scrabble thing awesome, right? Just download this, click, and I will run a Scrabble. And again, I'm being blue sky. So it's like probably in frame the Scrabble is being run, and over that probably four people are having conversation and pointing out, and yelling at it, or having smiles and stuff. But the thought is, one is you have to think about how you will grow and can you ride existing channels on that. When if you're clearly said, look, I'm going after the gaming and casual gaming specifically, where people know each other and they don't know what. So the way I'm approaching this is saying, hey, people already know each other majorly, and they want to spend time. They just don't know what to do. They have time.
got
So
it.
this is more like from that perspective, and I will take it from there. And once that gets solidifying, then I will start to add an angle um, of people who don't know each other. Can I find ways to create a network here of those people? Because network will add additional layer of value. Otherwise, people who
Yeah.
already know each other will go off together, and then it's there. So that is how I'll go about it. It's a very interesting thought. On a mobile, it could have different challenges because mobile has certain kind of limitations. But
Got it.
basically, what I would say is, I'm building a casual gaming product with conversations. The gaming part is light. Idea is
Yeah.
for people to have conversations over the game. And if that's the
Yeah.
purpose, then I will have to
Yeah.
build. I actually have to build from picking up these games, understanding what's missing right now, and how can I make it much more fun for them. Can I add mystery in between, which is about each other? Can I add something, a twist to that, so that people are hooked about it? So that is how I
Got
will
it.
go about it.
So some takeaways, right? One, you're saying, like try and ride a channel, right? Because otherwise, just building product, then building audience, all of that is hard. So if you can be a layer on something else, that would be fabulous, right? Because then you don't have to start from zero. That's essentially what you're saying, which is a fabulous takeaway for anyone here. And yeah, and then of course the entire gaming interface itself, the point about mobile and its limitations and things like that. I'm still going to so what we're going to do now is we kind of just hold this card and we'll jump to the next one. You have five of them to go through, right? So the next one is going online. It's a early revenue stage startup by Yobin. What he basically does is you can fill an Excel sheet with product name, price, and a link to the image, and it will generate an e-commerce site. Think Shopify, right? But you're getting like an e-commerce front end, but the back end is purely Excel. So you still continue managing your entire business on an Excel sheet, but that Excel sheet is a Google sheet, right? And that's essentially what he's building right now, right? Any thoughts, questions, anything? Yeah,
That's a very interesting thought. So first and foremost, if I had to approach this, right? So I'm assuming that my assumption is I am going after making it easier for people to create their shop and update their shop. These are the two key criteria. So it's just not कि कहीं से website बना लिया एक बार अब चलो उसको update कैसे करेंगे life के अंदर, right?
right.
This is the key problem I'm going after. This is the key
Yeah,
problem I'm going after. Would also want to understand, is it my hypothesis that people are good with Excel, or is it a fact? So that is the first thing I would want to validate, right?
Okay.
if there are enough people doing it that way. So, for example, people who are doing it on Tally, building plugins on Tally of inventory, for example, you could just say, okay, I understand Tally. If you are doing your inventory in Tally, so I'm just imagining. So there is this physical store which runs on a
Yeah.
POS, manages its accounts on Tally and inventory in Tally. Right?
Yeah.
Uh, it doesn't know how to go online. It just doesn't know how to go online. Right? And
Exactly.
there's just
Yeah.
so much friction there. So what I would do is probably talk to this guy and understand, is his Tally always up to date? So if he says yes, it is always up to date. Then I will ask
Yeah.
him next, okay, do you understand technology? Do you do this? And so there are two answers. People say yes, I can do an Excel, then great.
Yeah.
If people say no, I can't do an Excel, but Tally is up to date, what percentage people are doing this? So it's great that you're able to build from Excel, but don't stop there. Look at what people are really doing. If people are doing it in Tally, what I would do is I would build a layer here to extract information from Tally on a daily basis and take it to the Excel, which can get like Tally provides you this one thing called the desktop sync. You can create a desktop sync.
Okay.
We create a batch program. Uh, So we're getting into technology because I'm also a little techy.
That's fine. That's fine.
So you could create a program. What I would do is I would take this inventory because it's getting updated on a daily basis, put it into Excel, and then probably get it updated. Right? Because I love the fact that I can directly create. Other set of problems is imagery itself. So what would happen is in Tally, I don't have imagery. So if I don't have imagery of the product, then how do I solve for
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that will become another bottleneck. Let's say I'm able to get your inventory and everything else because that is one huge problem for the e-store. Someone orders something I
Yeah.
don't have. That becomes a huge
Yeah.
problem. So if
Yeah.
that is the kind of case, so what I would also want to look at is the fact, um, how do I, so what could I do for him? Uh, can I provide him a phone app where he can just click. So there is this like I use this Excel and build him saying these measures are missing and click. You can probably take the photos and probably takes away. So
So
if this
one
could happen.
question I have here, let's say just taking on someone like Shopify, for example, right? And if the tweak that you have over here is that instead of going to Shopify, uploading, learning that interface, uploading, managing everything, the tweak really is that hey, there's an Excel sheet. You all manage Excel sheets at some point in time as a business, right? So here is just a simple to fill Excel sheet. You fill this, share a link with an image, and that's it. This gets done. Is that a sufficient enough differentiation versus, let's say, a player like Shopify? Like one is there is a massive market which kind of is obvious because of because what Shopify has achieved. But then, is this a sufficient enough tweak? Is there a future threat? Now, how would you think of all of these aspects?
So that's a very good question. Actually, very good question. So I happen to have observed one entrepreneur, very I would say hustler type entrepreneur in a recent past, less than a year, who did an amazing job. He actually created a kind of an Excel of saying what are the things that the people who are putting out their own stores want, what are the ways they want to connect, and created a complete Excel, what exists, what doesn't exist. He built a complete solution of that. And then he said, "Okay, I'm going to build Shopify plugin." Very simple. He had very clear because he had one Shopify experience already as a merchant himself. Since he had the first-hand experience, he also was part of the community. So one of the important parts is if you can be a part of that community, it could really help you. They could be a very, very good way of giving you feedback. So he
Got it.
started becoming part of the community. He reached out to the people. He said, "This is the problem I have. Do you have this problem?" They said, "Yes, I have a problem similar to this. I also want to connect with my customers instantly. Unfortunately, I don't have time. I'm sitting in my store. I can't be on my desktop at that point in time. How do I do it? Is there a way that can happen?" And then he built that particular and focused very well on just one particular plugin, use the community to define it really well and take it off. So what you are currently building seems like it has that potential. How do you marry? And again, as I said, my assumptions were that you might want to very Indians, it might be not that you're Indians. If your target is probably people who are already familiar with Microsoft Excel or something like that, in US, in other countries, then you should actually. But most importantly, you have to think of yourself as a nifty small SaaS tools enterprise, right? So you have to be frugal. You have to grow your revenues as SaaS. Look at adjacent areas, what else you can build, and once you start building some of those areas, um, in the core, 6 to 12 months, you just build your core product, build a distribution, build relationship with your customers. So even this specific thing seems like a good enough value proposition for people who are good with Excel. One challenge here
Yeah.
is that creating a link of so it's expected that I upload the photo somewhere, then I put a link in the Excel. You have to
Yeah.
solve for this. If I have to do two, three things, then again I'm doing. How do I solve for
Yeah.
that? Is something that people have to really, really understand. So what you
Got
could
it.
actually do is um, go and talk to these people. I would have gone and talked to these people. I would have looked at if they are using Excel, how they are using it. Excel. Are there any
Yeah.
other tools that are doing this? How are they doing this? What is the value I can provide? I can provide them an easier experience. I can provide them lesser cost. I can provide them a much better customer experience. All these are values. And then sell till your 100 customers, super happy customers start talking about you. You sell. You have to also keep
Got
your
it.
team happy. You can't really be very, very big in this. Specifically, SaaS take a long time to
Got
take
it.
off. This is micro SaaS. So that is how I go about
Got it.
this.
So
It
one
seems to
question. So were you trying to say that be a plugin to Shopify, just solve the Excel bit, but don't try to do the full thing? Is that was that
So I
analogy?
would,
I mean,
yes, I would recommend, because if he has an experience there, I would recommend that doing that, because it will it is a fast enough experiment. People are already accustomed to doing certain things. You are making life much easier. So you do not have the challenge of that initial inertia of bringing people online. Someone has already made a mind to come online. So just speeding the process. If you do this, you can also hit revenues faster. You might need to productize less, and that's important. Execution and speed of execution will become better.
so one question here. So what you're saying is manage a Shopify page from an Excel,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you're kind of changing the proposition a little bit, saying instead of building out the Shopify features, you're saying Shopify has already built out e-commerce. What they have not built out at some level is the ability to manage that interface with Excel. Now, either you can choose to build out the entire business, or you just build this piece, plug into the Shopify ecosystem, and now say, hey, by the way, for all Shopify users in the world, you now have the ability to manage your business from an Excel sheet.
Yes. So actually saying
Is that an accurate
you should
understanding?
you should always try to have your foot in the door first, right? Once you have a foot in the door and you understand the business better, never try to go mammoth unless you are building something which is not existent at all. If there is something existent, it is always better to see how you can get a foot in the door, understand, and then probably understand it good enough, build a competitor. Otherwise, by the time you come to market, you will realize people don't even need it, right? And people say, "Arey, Shopify mein to hota hi hai," right? So you have to understand if you can do this.
Got it.
One of the mindset you have to see is how fast can I serve a customer? If you start thinking from that perspective, specifically in these very direct use cases, there are a lot of these direct use cases, transactional use cases. You should not spend too much time in validating. You have to validate it fast.
Got it. Got it. Hey, makes sense. Makes sense. I'm just moving to the next card, right? So we have land rights, which helps real estate lawyers automate property due diligence. So today, property due diligence is like it's a very critical piece of buying a property, and it takes a really long time. The documents are all over the place. They're trying to automate it by digitizing documents, putting it through an automated AI enabled scanning kind of mechanism to solve that problem for real estate lawyers, right? That's their customer base. I'm just going to turn off my video because I feel like I have a little bit of an internet issue going on, but I'm still here.
So, unfortunately, I have some experience in the domain. So, I will have to take it from that perspective.
Yes, I know.
So, in this specific case, you have to first and foremost understand, are you going to be a SaaS tool for real estate lawyers? If you are going to be a SaaS tool for real estate lawyers, then you have to just focus on the technology bit of things and providing him an experience that he can work. So then problem is much simpler and easier. You are saying, okay, look, I'm a SaaS tool. I'm going to help you scan things. I will use AI to do character recognition and probably highlight few items. I'm assuming you have data to actually understand what's written in the document itself, which would actually be a massive task in itself because AI training is not easy. AI training is actually pretty hard. The amount of data that you
Yeah.
require for AI, right? So majority of the people who say AI, I always have a, I'm sorry to say that, but I am a little skeptical of people who say AI. Right? Why? Because I
Right, I get it.
understand the amount of data. I actually, you'll not believe, I actually took off 6 months in 2017 and spent time learning, going through, I think, Andrew, I've forgotten the full name. Andrew is the famous guy in the AI in that domain. I took that course. I spent some time. What I understand is majority of the people, specifically in the consumer space, do not sit on mountain of data for the AI to really work. So if you're going to, yeah, Andrew NG, someone just pointed out. So I spent a lot of time. I actually, in fact, downloaded and started coding, right? And then someone realized, dude, you are more valuable than a coder. So don't do this. Right? The whole thought is, if you're going to claim AI, it's not easy. But I'll congratulate you if you're able to do that. You have to think from process perspective. Don't do all documents at a game. You say one document in time. This is the kind of document I will solve. Right?
Yeah.
Do a great job there, but do a phenomenal job there. If you're able to do a phenomenal job there, and someone buys you just for that particular document, you say, okay, I will charge you like $10 for a document, $100 for a document, but I will highlight and give you what are the things that you should do. If you can do a great job there, that's great. You should go ahead and do that. You don't need, and your customers will push you hard enough to do everything on day zero. Do not do that because being mediocre on all the documents is a short disaster. He will.
So I want to ask you a question there, right? So a lot of times you're obviously as a startup founder, you're asked to go speak to your customer. Then you go speak to your customer, and then they tell you all of the problems that they're facing, right? And you're basically saying they will tell you those problems, but you just have to solve only one. Could you elaborate on that thinking a little bit?
So what I've realized is it's basically like this. I come and ask you. So if I ask you a question, right? Whether you, and specifically in Indian context, I've seen this. No one says no. Everyone has an answer. More importantly, this answer is not very well thought. Right? This answer is just because you asked me a question, I have to answer this. And that is a very, very hard thing, a very, very hard thing because people will want the moon, right? And when you bring them the moon and say, yaar, yahan pe I'm happy in my home, why do I need a moon? So it becomes very, very tricky because you have asked them a question, they will always tell you these 15 things you can do, right? But you have to importantly see and understand and experience where exactly are the challenges. What is he frustrated about? So your questions have to be not direct, but little more indirect. Try to find what really is, why is he crying? On what is he crying? Can he put his money, and putting his money is one of the best ways. If someone can say, oh, look, I'm going to pay you this, take my 10,000 bucks. If you don't do it, return it back. If you do it, take it as a token. Doesn't happen very easily, very easy to say. But the thought is, if you ask people, so this famous saying goes, right? As Ford said, if you ask what they want, they will say faster horses. People only understand what they see, what they have seen, right? So try to figure out what the real, if they're,
Got it.
and many a times that comes by asking, hey, sabse zyada dukhi kya cheez se ho? What is that you get dukhi? Where are you spending most of your time?
Got
So
it.
you
Got it.
don't know the solution. So I've had this problem, and many a times even when now talking to my users, I'm excited about what I have, right? And then I have to stone myself down and say, tell me what your problem is. What is it paining me? Sometimes he still gives me a vitamin type problem, but sometimes he gives me a real problem. And that real problem is really, really useful.
It makes a
Useful,
lot of sense.
useful
I'm
one.
going to just jump to the next card, right? So we have Wiser, which is trying to help you find your personal financial advisor. So you could actually go online, just leave a lead, and you'll get a call back with a video consulting with a financial advisor who'll kind of help you plan your entire financial journey and be with you, right?
Okay. So if I was building Wiser, how would I go
Yeah.
about thinking? So first of all, finance is all about trust. So how do I inculcate trust is the first question I will ask myself. What are the places where people's trust is broken today? So that will be my opportunity to get into the system. Because believe it or not, everyone gets like 2 calls a day uh, getting advice on finance or stocks. And there is just too much confusion. People are also scared with their money. People are scared with how people have been treated by relationship managers. How people just relationship managers are just meeting their targets, and that's the problem, right? That's a real problem. So if that's the case, then first and foremost, I want to find out these small trust issues which I can solve. With what would be my foot in the door? Is there a way I can get a foot in the door? Because everyone is shouting out there that oh look, I can be a great financial advisor. I'm a PMS manager. We have wealth management, we have fund management, and then the number of options that people give you, right? It feels like death by 100 options. Just too many options. Like, okay, you can do this, you can do that, and then see again, even as an advisor, they can only tell you indicative stuff, right? So till last year, before COVID, people would say, oh look, you can get 12% average annualized return if you invest into equity for 5-year run plus. There are people who went through COVID who have been investing for 10 years and they are negative 20%.
Yeah.
And they are like, what to do, what to do, right? And that is a big challenge. I think this is a complex problem. From the perspective, if you don't go wide, how do you, and not going wide is also very hard because the customer will say, okay, look, you can you give me equity? Can you give me this? Can you give me that? So the key thing, can you build trust is the key thing. As I would try to figure out how can I build trust. It's not the number of products. It's not the kind of language I use. And another problem that I have as a very layman guy, the long language goes upar se.
So if you had to build trust, what would be one thing that you did in a financial space? I mean, if you just had to, like, you're forced as CEO, right? Yeah.
That's a hard question. In fact, I've been pondering about that question. Is a question in how do I select a right advisor? Right, it's a very hard question. Right now, referrals is what I go about. Right, but if I have to build trust, then what can I think about and do is something like this. Uh, I would want to understand someone's portfolio. So what I would say, look, no questions are asked, no nothing this. You just show me your portfolio. Let me actually look at it. Let me a doctor of your portfolio and just tell you where you are. That's it. No strings attached. Let me just look at this. Let me give you a this. Then I can give you pointers. I can give you pointers saying for this, you would be able to, and Chetan is saying fully transparent would be a good way. Then I would have to demystify and break that down. What he has in portfolio, what does it mean? So I will help you understand what you already have instead of selling you something else. So I would first want to spend some time with you and understand what you already have and
Got it.
what are good things, what are bad things. Kind of just a doctor kind of a feeling. And once I've done that, then I would say, okay, look, these are the 5 things that you could do. This is the way you can educate yourself. This is the way you could think about your future needs. And this is the way you can probably try to plan. Because what happens is it's just so much uncertainty. There is so much at stake with whatever money you have. It's it creates a massive amount of inertia and massive amount of confusion in the person's mind. कि यार क्या करूं? Because the cost of failure is very high,
Got
and
it.
it feels really, really scary for most people to not know exactly what to do. So if you could actually be one person, so I would advise you to build this slow. Uh, the reason I'm telling you this is in a trust-based business, it's okay to lose a customer, but it's not okay to lose a trust.
Got it.
So if you are able to do a great job there, your marketing should be your customers.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So what you're saying is somehow, I mean, obviously build trust by being a consultant, kind of help, advise, tell them what you think, kind of with proof points, right? Saying why you think either because of their personal risk-taking ability or, just taking a look at their portfolio, performance, etc. Whatever those reasons are, right?
Another thing I would do, and this is what I was thinking about, I will pick those people as my advisors who are doing successful investment from themselves. अगर वो
Got it.
खुद का कुछ कर पाया है,
Got it.
then that guy has a different confidence in selling.
Yeah.
So you don't need 100 people, you need probably 5. Right? But these guys
Got
should
it.
have gone through it, understood it, lived it, and if you can do that, it shows.
So
It's a
what you're
people
saying
game.
is get 5 great advisors. Don't try to get 100 advisors, right? So you're saying handpick the advisors that you get. Make sure that they all have fabulous portfolios for themselves. Ensure that each meeting is a winner, right? I mean, and let's say if a customer signs up, they win, right? I mean, that's essentially what you're saying.
So what I'm basically saying is the age-old do unscalable things first, but get the trust there.
I like the suggestion that Priyank has here, right? I would invest a sum along with the person, right? So I'm putting in this much. You want, you can join me. It's like a copycat investing strategy, right? Like I'm just following you. It happens a bunch, even in
So
the,
there are a few people who do that, right? There are a few people who
yeah,
just get access to what they are investing in. You can just look at that and invest, right? But the point is that person's risk appetite might be different than yours. So if you actually do
got
that,
it.
then you also have a challenge, right? So it is
Yeah,
actually the most important thing is you ability to empathize with the user, right? Because if you are saying, I'm also going to put, so my risk appetite may be very different from yours, right? My whole understanding is very different from yours. My portfolio allocation is very different from yours. So it is very important to actually, someone is mentioning, yes, most banking investment firms do that. But look, they're investment firms. They'll write off on the company's balance sheet. Right? Many a time they're investing clients, they'll write off there. At worst, their bonus will go off. But your
yeah,
lifetime savings will go off. Right?
true.
So
Yeah,
it's a you have to start from the customer first perspective. How do you really think from your अगर आपका खुद का करना हो तो कैसे करोगे? Go and talk to
got
few
it.
of the people, how they are doing, how they are feeling. And in fact, luckily, this is a problem that anyone and everyone around you have. Plus, more
Yeah,
importantly, everyone is giving you a lot of free advice. So you understand why they are giving. Ask them, are you doing this? Many of them will not be doing that. So you will know exactly what advice is not worthy. So it's
yeah,
more about,
yeah,
as
yeah,
I will try to reiterate, do unscalable stuff, but do a kick-ass job. Uh, the way to succeed in doing unscalable stuff is being frugal, being managing your own self first. If you're able to manage your own company, and if you survive long enough with the unscalable stuff, but do a great job of building a great name and doing a great service to your customers, technology is but one piece. Right? Technology
got it.
is but one piece. Technology is a scale
Yeah,
factor. How do you
yeah,
scale the trust is where technology will own the trust, understand relationship and everything else. But
got it.
technology is not the end in itself.
Got it. Got it. The last card for you before we try and pull a few people on stage. We have some of the founders around, and hopefully we can pull them off, right? Pull them on. So the last one is date night. It's started by Sagar. It's pre-planned, prepaid date nights for married couples, right? So just taking the planning out of the equation. so that you get, let's say, 3 options on a weekend on where to go, some place nearby, something interesting. Yeah.
Uh, I'll be lying if I say that we have not done a brainstorm on that.
Okay, awesome. It's good that you have some serious thoughts around it.
I think it's the challenge that I see in this is like what I will. We used to be thinking. We me and Lalit used to talk about this quite a lot. Lalit is my
Yeah,
childhood friend and co-founder at Common Floor, and now he's doing a phenomenal startup Airmeet. Um, so we used to think about this, saying, "Hey, साला Saturday को कुछ करने को नहीं होता है." And then you have to think about this and blah and blah. It's just too painful, right? यार कोई
yeah,
करा दे. So one thing that we had experienced was Zozo Box, which gives this curated experience and everything else, right? We
yeah,
used to call this, and there was someone else doing this. I had seen one company, I'm forgetting the name, that was also trying to do this. Somewhere balancing the value and the cost, because not every weekend you can afford a 5,000 bucks, and right, and the
yeah,
person who's
yeah,
providing the service is going to at least want to make a decent amount every transaction, and that's where the challenge would happen, right? So if there is a way where technology could make this happen at much lesser cost and surprise me kind of thing could happen, then maybe yes. I haven't seen that happening very much. So I think the way I would go about this, and it's a hard answer because initially also we did not find a lot of scalable ways of making that happen. At least when we were brainstorming, this is like 4 or 5 years back when we were thinking
got it.
about this. So there are two problems. Is the market large enough? So one side is can you get a market large enough? So you can. So there are these apps like Couple and a few more apps which were trying to build a virtual relationship with the couples themselves and help them manage their moments and everything else. That was one way of acquiring a lot of users because the cost of acquisition is also pretty high. So cost of acquisition is high. So how do you ensure that you can provide? So either you create a very high-end exclusive club. It's like concierge club, right? And
Yeah,
find out ways in which there are people who can spend 10,000 a weekend kind of stuff,
yeah.
right? And generally, newlyweds are the ones who are so crazy about it, and they don't really think about money too much, and they really want to have real great
So,
experiences.
what if we are able to just redirect you to common experiences? Like, let's say a restaurant in your neighborhood, but you wouldn't have researched it, right? When I say in your neighborhood, it could be 5 kilometers away, right? But something that you've not researched, it's got interesting food, and it just points you there and says, "Hey, there's a whatever," because they have a 6 course meal
The
or
way,
something of
the
that
way,
sort.
the way we were thinking about this was is you just get ready. You have a Uber waiting at you at 7 o'clock. You just
Yeah.
don't know where you're going. We
So
know what
that's an experience management, right? What if you just had to solve the planning?
even
Because
after the planning, people are confused. So many a times, it's not that I don't know enough options. I don't have access to Zomato and stuff, right? Making a decision
ah,
is a difficult problem. Information is not the problem. Decision is the problem,
got it.
right? So
True.
decision is a problem. So how do you solve for decision fatigue is the question that you have to figure out, right?
So how would
That's
you
why
do
we
that?
So that's why I'm saying the best thought we had was like a black box. You just
Okay,
put out all these experiences, and after every experience, you just put out what you like, what you don't like, kind of
got it.
swipe
Got it.
up. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
and you and your wife do it independently. You don't do it
got
in the
it.
same screen. Once you do that, the data keeps telling me what did you like, what did you not like, etc., etc. And then I
Yeah,
curate something special for him night, something special for her night, something special for
yeah,
both of us night, kind of stuff. And the whole thing is a black box. You just
got it.
put information, and everything else works for you. But again, it had to be done in a premium segment if you had to do it that way. Probably once you have done
Got
it
it.
to a particular premium segment, so don't go mass. That's the first thing. Um,
Yeah,
let's say you sign up 100 couples. You have a
yeah,
clear budget understanding saying, okay, these 100 couples are open to spending about 15,000, 10,000 a month. I will make about two grands out of this. And I have like 3 to 4 experiences at 2 grand each average that I need to provide
got
them. right?
Got it.
And then you create a black box experience, find out data after every experience, and then try to keep them excited before they even go and reach there, right? And you just tell them what to wear. So tell them
Yeah.
what to wear. Don't tell them where you are taking them, right? Don't
Yeah.
tell them this is. Just understand them. They just need to get ready. They should enjoy getting ready. Come down. Go.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks a lot, Vikas. I mean, just loved a lot of things to take away for those individual startups who are here. I hope there's been a lot to take away for the audience as well. What I'm going to try and do is, if folks are still around, I'm just going to try and see if I can pull up these individual startups on stage. They may have some additional questions for you. Maybe we can do like just go one by one, kind of take one or two questions from them as well, and we see how that goes. So I'm just going to keep pulling up people, getting them on stage. Uh,
Suhas is saying, would you take new startups? So Unsolved is a community where they just people come in, put their ideas, try to find people, find idea. It's more like a crowdsourcing of entire idea to company and finding people, finding who can help you, etc., etc. And I think they're on it right now. It's more about people just coming together and helping each other. It's called unsolved.xyz, if I'm right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unsolved.xyz. If you have an idea, just add it. We already have a step-by-step guide which allows you to, you can just follow the step-by-step guide to go from idea to a landing page to a product. And there's a helpful community, all of them who are trying to start something new, right? So it's quite great to be a part of it.
Cool.
I've tried to add a few folks. I think I'm not sure if I did this right. Anamika, yeah, I've just accepted a few of those requests. Uh, if you're watching
So Srihari is
Robin
here.
or Wiser, right? Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just thank you.
So Srihari is here. Hi, Srihari.
We can see you, Shriyari. Shriyari was the founder of Land Right, and he's here. Sagar is Date Night, right? If you guys have a question for him, maybe take one or two questions. You can just shoot and you can go first, Shriyari, with the questions that you have.
Srihari, we are not able to hear you for some reason.
Yeah, you seem to be on mute right now.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm still not able to hear him. Have you unmuted yourself? I'm not able to hear you. Can you just jump out and jump back in? Yeah. Meanwhile, we'll go to someone else. Just close the session, come
Yeah,
back in, right?
yeah.
We'll see you.
Sagar, do you want to take a question?
I'm
Oh,
having the same trouble with everyone. Yeah, hi. I'm able to hear someone, but I'm not able to hear Sagar. Yeah, hello.
Anamika, do you want to just share a question? Sagar, you can probably leave and join back.
Yeah, sure. Hi, sure. You can hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you. A little louder would be good.
Okay. Thanks, Ishwar, and thanks, Vikas, for really good pointers there. So, like Ishwar said,
And
we are already live, and we have already two games built out, and we are working
Anamika
on a
is
third.
the blend, the WhatsApp and games thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we are from Blend, and we are the ones who are building the games with the chat. And the you said about riding on a different channel, already existing channel, but the thing is, technically, the way we have implemented is the games are embedded inside the chat itself, and it gives a whole lot of different experience than riding on an existing channel. And technically also, it's kind of not very feasible to build the games inside the chat itself
so,
the way we have done. So that's why we decided to go with our product itself, which has the chat and the games. I would love to know from you on, like you said, it will be difficult to grow. Yes, we're growing, but would like to grow even faster, how much ever we could. So, would love to know from you if there are any pointers on how to grow it even further.
So I would not be the best person to give you pointers. The reason I'm saying that is you are in the gaming space and you should talk to someone who does gamification and games. Someone from Zynga,
Yeah,
someone from Ludo King, someone from MPL, right? Because
yeah.
there is no point to me trying to be a like all star guy. But the thing is that there are specific gamification techniques already, which can help you do that. That's one part. The second part is your user behavior. If you look at user and how they are behaving, how are they getting new users? You can figure that out. If they are themselves being able to
Mhm.
invite, how can you accelerate that? Is the second question that you should ask us. And as I said, gaming is a very established industry. And you will find a lot of interesting people who are doing that. And, you should not ask questions to random people like me. You should go and talk to these people because that will really help you.
Sure, I'm looking for them, and what we are doing is especially board games. So board games are not online mostly. There are very very few apps where board games are
Gaming
there on online apps.
principles, gaming principles are not very hard, right? Gaming behavior and
Yes,
gaming principles are not very hard. So I'm talking about people who are doing different kind of gaming. They will tell you about the principles that they,
correct. Yep.
right? There is this book
Yeah.
called from Yukai Chao. I'm pretty sure you would have read that. If not, you should read Yukai Chao, Actionable Gamification. And there's a video on YouTube you can watch today itself.
Mhm.
So you should, if you are in
Awesome.
gaming.
Awesome. Can we have another question from anyone else who can unmute themselves and
Sure.
kind of ask?
Hi, Vikas. This is Sri here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Great. I'm the co-founder of Landright. I think you mentioned about the SaaS and tech, exactly the same space that we are in. We're trying to focus on the
Yeah,
lending
Shriyari, but just
institutions.
try to speak a little louder if you can.
Okay. Trying to focus on the lending institutions, on their mortgage lending and the title due diligence for that. My question is it is it is it good to go after the biggest customer in the
Shriyari,
country?
could you just switch off video and try to speak? It may be a little clearer that way.
Is it better now?
No, I was able to hear. I was able to hear. Anyway, I
Okay, I'll repeat the question because so my question is it good or is it the right strategy to go after the biggest customer in the country in your early stages or not?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Is your question saying is it good to go after the biggest player in the market? Is that your question?
Not the biggest player, the biggest customer.
If you have the lead, why not? I'm not really understanding the question very well.
Okay, so we are still early stages in building our product. Okay, like you
Okay.
said, right? Customers ask for the moon. This is exactly what's happening. They're asking for the moon. We're not there yet. Now we've gone to the biggest customer in the country. What would you suggest we do?
So pick one document that is small enough. It's not very hard to crack. Uh, and say I'm going to solve this problem first and prove that it works. Then I'll ask you for money.
So
But
leave
that is
out,
very most frequent. Right?
yeah, leave
It
out
becomes
just
most
one. Yeah, they're not even looking one document. They want us to be pan India, right?
I'm saying it could be pan India, but for one document type. Let's say.
Okay.
So what is the easiest document most widely used, which you can use your technology to help filter? If you can prove on that, then you can ask them money to build the rest of it.
Okay. Thanks.
Make sense?
Yeah. Thanks.
Good.
Arun, you want to go?
Yep. Hi, Vikas. Hi. Vikas, I actually have 3 questions, if that's okay with you. Right. I have.
Yeah, Arun is the personal financial advisor, right? That's the one.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the first thing that you mentioned was about for an existing customer, the advice would be the doctor himself and see, and the first step, I just want to see your portfolio and see where it stands, and then we'll take it from there, right? But what happens at a stage when the customer is new? because most of the most of the customers that we are seeing right now is like fairly new. They don't have a real idea about how portfolio is built. So for a new customer, you don't have anything. You don't have existing base. So what would you advise?
See, from a see again, I personally is not the right person to advise, right?
Okay,
Understand the customer itself. But always the customer is
sure,
the best person to advise, right?
sure,
So whatever I say, take it a pinch of salt. Okay.
sure.
So the whole idea is, if there is a new customer who has never done anything in life, right? Pitch a younger advisor who is
Advise.
in the journey just 2 steps ahead of him. That's
Right, great. My second question is, you mentioned that ensure you have a certain set of quality advisors who spend enough time in the industry, all of that, right? So if I go with like really high quality kind of advisors, I would look at these guys managing anywhere between 100 to 150 crores. That would be like superior quality to me. They've spent at least 2 decades
no,
in the
no,
industry.
no, no, no. You read it wrong. What I said is,
Okay,
people who have managed their own investments pretty well
okay,
and are
okay,
confident about advising, right? So
okay.
these might be
So
people, as I said, just 2 years ahead of me, 5 years ahead of me, or 7 years. So they might be doing it for 2 years, doing it pretty well. They might be doing it
okay,
5 years, doing it pretty well for themselves first, themselves as an
okay.
individual customer itself.
Yeah, great. So, for just an add-on question to that, would it be great if you could see on let's say on Visor itself? Would it be great for you to see the advisor's portfolio? Would it interest you? Would it be great to see?
I'm not sure. Ask that question to your customers. I'm not sure.
Okay, if you were the customer.
Uh, I am a kind of people person, right? I would want to
Okay,
actually probably talk to the person and understand
okay,
that better, because even that looking at the portfolio, I would get very little understanding,
okay, okay.
right?
Great. Thanks, Vikas.
Welcome.
Hi Vikas, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, Sagar, you are.
Yeah. Hi Vikas, thanks for your suggestion. Right. So I'm the founder of Date Night. So we were supposed to get launched a couple of months back, but at the same time, COVID was preparing to go live. So there was some, and then we postponed the launch. Right. So then we were thinking about if we can do something on a virtual date night thing, if we go about on virtual date night. So what's your take on this, if it's how it is feasible, or how it is?
The first thing is, the cost of experiment is very low, right? And you have lost 2 months. That's a bad sign. You
Right.
should have experimented, because there is nothing. There is no silver bullet to it, right? There's no silver bullet. There is most important thing in startup phase is execute.
Right.
Like, basically, there is this saying, right? I succeeded before because I did not know I would fail in this direction.
Right.
If you don't know, don't worry. If the cost of doing this is not too high, you should have done this by now. And you should have
Okay.
come up. So you should have utilized this time where people are under tremendous amount of lockdown stress, of finding ways where you could make this interesting. This was the time you should have built your community. So they were raring to go when you had products,
Okay.
because your cost
Makes a
of
lot of sense.
Yeah.
physical delivery is very less, right?
Right.
Everything works. Find ideas, go all out, try stuff, right, and see what people like. Anyway, you can offer it at either near zero cost or very minimal cost, and say, look, why don't you try this?
Okay.
So this was the time you should have built your community. That's what I would say.
Okay, thanks. And one more question, right? So, and building a roadmap, right? So, what to do in next 2 months, 3 months, and so on. So, and there are so many suggestions coming in. If you can do this, if you can help me. So many suggestions from the customer itself that if you can provide me this or something. How do you deal with this? So do you take every suggestion? As a solution,
Make
or
so do not judge any suggestion. Write it down. That's it.
okay,
Come back to it when you are not really in a heady mood that time. When you are sorted, you come back to that. Let all the suggestions. So Ishwar gave me 5 suggestions today. I said, okay, noted. Put it to the khata. बाद में जाके देखूंगा. Right? Then,
Right.
because life के अंदर 100 चीज और भी करने को है. Right? The thing is, I listened to him. I said, okay, makes sense. Put it in the data. Right now, let me not jump to it. Is it breaking? Is it a blocker? If it's not a breaking or blocker right now, it's a good suggestion. Let me keep it to this. My list will become very large, and then I'll see how many people are saying. So one important thing is stop, reflect, then move forward.
Yeah, actually, that was very interesting. You're absolutely right how that happened, right? I kept sharing a few suggestions, and at no point in time did you actually try to defend what you were doing and things like that, right? Somewhere there you're like, yeah, okay, suggestions noted. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to revisit that, right? I see that you have a need, and that's why the suggestion is being made. But you're not trying to make a decision immediately, right? You're saying, okay, I want to ensure that this is noted, right? So that I don't forget the suggestion.
Then I go back and, for example, the embedding thing, right? I said it works because you're us, and I said, okay, look, it works, and we very actively thought it should work. Where the hell is the embed, pre-embed? So I went ahead and prioritized that based on your feedback, and today it's going live on unsolved.xyz. You can also watch this there in the community.
Got it. Hey, guys, I think we are kind of closing into closure time. It's already 8 o'clock. I think we all got to get back to our, families and say hi to them as well. Thank you so much for your time. What I would suggest is that all of you who have joined in today and shared your startup, can you just leave a link to your startup? Because if someone wants to kind of, check it out, right? You could just use the comment box to share a link. Right, so whatever your website address is or whatever the name of your app is, right, anything that you have that you want people to go and check, please do. All those who are viewing, if you'd like to give some early love to these people, and yes, even the audience, right, please go ahead. If you're working on something, please do add it in the comments.
I'm actually using indistractable.xyz from Suhas. It's a launcher. So
Awesome.
I am one of those guys who have like anxiety of people opening their phone too much. His launcher is pretty much black and white, only text. I can't open too much. So it has actually
Oh, I'm
helped that.
definitely going to check it out. It sounds interesting. Yeah, definitely going to check it out. Sounds like a good one, Suhas. So thank you everyone for joining us. Vikas, thank you so much for your time. And, I think I put you in the spot sufficiently today, just kind of throwing everything that I had at you, right? Just trying to see what's the maximum that we can get out of this whole thing. But thanks, it's been awesome. I think some great thoughts. We've noted down, I have noted down a few of those as personal takeaways, and just phenomenal chatting with you. Thanks a lot, everyone who joined in today. We'll try and keep this happening at a regular interval. Any feedback that you have on the event for us, you can either write into me or just leave it in the comments. Right, I'll kind of watch it for a little more while. But if you liked it, and tell people about both Leher, a fabulous place to have conversation, and hopefully unsolved.xyz as well, right? If you have a startup idea.
So what you could do is follow us here and DM us. So if you click on the I, you get to follow us, all the people who are here, and you can actually write to us, DM us, and we can have the conversation within there and probably help you out. Thank you very much, guys. Hope to see you again. So you can. So Lakshmi says what to do. Click on the I button. Follow the people here. Then you can DM them and probably take this conversation forward. Thank you very much. Great, Chetan. Good to see you. Good to have a great set of audience and great set of people here. I hope that we have few more of these sessions. This was absolutely new, fantastic, and it felt like a Viva exam chal rahi hai. And hopefully मैं pass हुआ. But again, one disclaimer is that look, all ideas are dime a dozen like me. People can give you ideas. You have to bring your belief and your own execution into it. Only then the success comes. So you have to bring your belief and do a great execution. Nothing else can make you successful. Okay, thank you. Signing off now. You are on mute. Ishwar, you're on mute.
Hey, oh yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks everyone for taking time out this evening. Hope it
Sure.
was a fun session. Bye bye. See you next time.
Bye-bye. Yeah.